And that was Kambua, and I love the last part where she says, Mungu atakupa kicheko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after the suffering, after the entire process, at the end of it all, you will be laughing.
That's true.
Trust in the Lord.
And he will do exceedingly abundantly.
Amen.
And remember, Kambo is a lady who struggles
Yep.
so much with infertility, but then she has been blessed so much. We're not just one, but she actually has, you know, 2 children at the time.
Yeah.
One passed away, but I love her testimony of when she was explaining that, because she was like, that's my miracle baby still. That's my angel baby still. Because I came from being barren, and even though my child passed, God still gave me more. The real miracle was the fact that I even conceived in the first place.
That's a miracle.
So it's a beautiful story.
Beautiful story. All right, to the papers.
Yeah.
And, we do have various copies with us in studio. Allow me to start with the Daily Nation. And the Daily Nation, they are reporting the headline, Kenya's troubles with neighbors. Currently, we are in trouble with a number of our neighbors. So President William Ruto's government has been on a collision course with its East African neighbors on several occasions since assuming office in August of 2022. Now, some of his administration's decisions touching on trade and politics seem to have rubbed them the wrong way. So you can see that on page 6, and we have had issues with DR Congo. I've had issues with Rwanda. Of course, the comment by Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen. We have had, of course, issues with Uganda. Also Sudan, who recalled its ambassador to Kenya in protest at the official reception given to Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, the commander of the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Also, we have had issues with Somalia. And then, of course, the latest was the other day, Tanzania, when Tanzania Civil Aviation Authority barred KQ from operating passenger flights between Nairobi and Dar with effect from the 22nd of January. However, the two countries have moved fast to resolve the dispute. So that story extensively covered on page 6 inside the Daily Nation. Then I see still on the front page, Ruto, Raila clash over judiciary's call for dialogue. So Azimio leader Raila Odinga warning Chief Justice Martha Koome against holding talks with President Ruto over his constant attacks on the courts. Odinga said yesterday agreeing to negotiate with President Ruto could compromise the independence of the judiciary. And you can read that on page 4. And yesterday, President Ruto saying that yes, he was ready for dialogue, bringing together the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. Remember, those are the 3 arms of the government. I don't know why they locked out the 4th arm of the government, which is the 4th estate. So we also need to sit there so that we can get to know what are they agreeing on or striking. All right. I see on page 3, club party before death. So 10 people, including owner of a nightclub and hospital's guards, quizzed over doctor's killing. And this is on page 3. So medics call for speedy investigations and enhanced security measures in hospitals. So this is more than 10 people have recorded statements with the police as investigations into the death of Dr. Laban Kipto at the Nakuru County Referral and Teaching Hospital continue. Read that on page number 3. Also, tributes continue pouring in for NIBS founder Lizzie Wanyoike, and one said the fear of the village and its debilitating poverty set her for greatness, and it's on page number 10. I see Don and his 2 ex-students among those seeking JSC seat. So the upcoming elections for the LSK male representative in the Judicial Service Commission has attracted 4 candidates, including a lecturer and his former students. The candidates include LSK's current president, Eric Theuri, Owanza Ombati, Professor Michael Nyongesa Wabwile, and Ishmael Nyaribo. They are all seeking to replace Macharia Njeru, whose 6-year term ends in May. That's on page 7. Get to see and read that interesting story of a teacher and ex-students. DNT pull out today. It's all about motoring. So when the nut goes missing, why you should not be panicking over a missing wheel nut immediately you make that discovery. Read that on page 2. Are you struggling with childhood trauma? That is on the DN2 parenting. Read that story as well. I want to go to the county section. Governors, PSs to discuss pending devolved roles. Agency says national government still holding on to functions valued at 272 billion. Kenya shillings. That is on page 19 inside the Daily Nation. And then on the world scene, UK Parliament braces for Rwanda migrant law battle. And then big win in Iowa moves Trump closer to a Joe Biden rematch. US networks took just half an hour to call the race, with Trump taking 51% of the vote and opening a 30-point gap. So could we see a rematch of Trump versus Biden? That is the question they are asking. Back page of the Nation. Public varsities employees arrears climb to 45.33 billion shillings. So they're saying higher education institutions have been struggling to meet their financial obligations. And then we see petitioner wants court to block higher NSSF deductions. A Nairobi city resident seeking orders from the High Court blocking NSSF contributions as proposed in the NSSF Act of 2013. Sports pages. So Nigeria face hosts Cote d'Ivoire in attractive fixture tomorrow. That is on tomorrow. Burkina Faso beat battling Mauritania with the last gasp penalty. And I also saw South Africa losing to Mali by 2-0. So Tunisia, I also think Tunisia also lost to Namibia by 1-0. I also see 50 years later, it is Morocco's time to win second Cup of Nations title, and you can read that in the Nation. Tax breaks on the cards. Ababu gives pledge to sports sponsors. So sports secretary wants private sector to partner with the government in funding sports for the benefit of Kenyan athletes. That is on page 33. Right, that's the Nation.
Okay, let us raise the standard. For
the Nation.
Yeah, for the Nation.
Important.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, the top page is quite interesting because it's talking about Ruto's many battles and that President William Ruto has been on a warpath, taking on neighbors, institutions, and anyone whom he does not agree with. And he has always made his feelings known, much to the chagrin of his victims or opponents. Experts contend that as a symbol of national unity and African statesman, he should pursue dialogue. And some of the people that they've been having all these rattling battles with include Abel Fattah, we have Suluhu Hassan, we have Felix Tshisekedi. Hey, this name, DRC's president, Tshisekedi. Uhuru Kenyatta, of course. We have Yoweri Museveni, and I was quite interested on what you know, the whole rattle with Yoweri Museveni. I see the Yoweri Museveni administration filed the case against Kenya on December 28th last year after Kenya declined to issue Uganda National Oil Corporation with license to operate as a local oil marketer in November. So yes, that's the battle between Ruto and Yoweri, and then we have Martha Koome as well. So that's a story that you can find in you know, more details, and it's definitely taking the page 2, that is of the Standard. And then when we get to page 3, I see more trouble for Kenya with EAC partners. You see quick action averts crisis after Tanzania bars KQ from flying to Dar es Salaam in retaliation, a story that I think Gigi, you have also touched on, and we also touched on yesterday as well. And I see Nat Kuppet condemn ejection of school heads over exam results, and unions demand that teachers be withdrawn from affected schools, term the behavior primitive, and want TSC to act tough. And Ezekiel Mashogu, who is the education CS, says that the ministry is disturbed by this unfortunate trend, which appears to create the impression that the burden of the poor performance in examinations must be exclusively borne by teachers. So who else has a part to play when it comes to the results of the students. And I also see here state unveils disease-resistant maize seeds. That should be good information. And I see CS Linturi says the move will help South Rift boost food security and also help farmers avoid fake seeds from rogue traders. And I see here a very interesting article about remembering the legacy of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And I see that this weekend, renowned thought leaders and scholars, Pan-Africanist statesmen and journalists are getting together to discuss one issue: Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and his place in history. This event to take place at the House of History and Memory, the Ofafa Memorial Hall in Kisumu, January 20th, 2024. All right, interesting. And I also see here the story that this really depressed a lot of people, by the way, because it was about the Mackenzie issue. I see Mackenzie, 94 others. They're now to face charges for murder, terrorism, and torture. And I was just looking into this story and how unfortunate it is. We actually have 429. That is the number of bodies that have been exhumed so far, and 117 are children. So this is really unfortunate, and we have 600 families that have registered their missing kin with the government and the Kenya Red Cross Society. Quite unfortunate, but we hope that justice will be served. It is said that they will be facing charges for murder, terrorism, and torture. And I think this is why it's important for us to read the Bible for ourselves as well, because we can't depend on preachers or the pastors we go to each and every Sunday or more days in the week to feed us what we can actually feed for ourselves in the Word of God. It's important to definitely attend church, but make sure that you're reading the Word for yourself. Be like, I don't know which I know it starts with a B in the Bible. I think in the book of Acts, it was talking about this particular group of Christians who, even after listening to the preachings, they would go later and research for themselves so that they ascertain what the pastor said. Bereans. Yes, I knew it started with a B. There's the Bereans. We should be like the Bereans. And I also see Kenyans to give their views on housing bill. I'm asking myself, what is it? We are saying again.
What happened? It's illegal.
Yeah.
But they had been given until January.
Yeah.
So what happens after January?
I'm very curious. I see for 2 weeks, House team to traverse 19 counties on the bill. The bill has already undergone the first reading in Parliament, and of course we had those results. And the bill, which was tabled by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, aims to provide a legal framework for establishment of the Affordable Housing Fund. And this is a story that you can find on page 7. Quite an interesting conversation now that sometimes you look at it and there are many ways of government actually making money rather than imposing those taxes and making life difficult for the Kenyans. Taxing people is not just the only way. They can reduce the government expenditure. That's one of the things.
Wastage.
Yeah.
For me, it's actually even
I know. Yeah, the government wastage, the corruption that is happening there. And also think of ways to actually make revenue, not through taxing Kenyans, because now that does not work. We say democracy for the people, by the people, where does this play out?
By the people, for the people, and by the
by the people indeed, though. Hey, we'll keep dreaming. And I see Ruto welcomes CJ's call for dialogue over graft, a story that you can find on page 8. Odinga Kalonzo warned Koome on trap by state. Kalonzo says institutions are clearly set out in the constitution and their mandates clearly stipulated. And moving forward, I also see that there's a story that we have also been following up on. No foul play in Tycoon's death, court rules after 10-year inquest. Magistrate says no concrete evidence was adduced to show anyone was criminally responsible for the death of the Brighton. Body still at Coast General Teaching and Referral Hospital mortuary in Mombasa, and family yet to agree on site for the reburial. All right. And I can see the lady here who is the daughter, Helen Viva. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
But Helen Weaver, daughter of the late Harry, she has worn a shirt that says, "My daddy was not murdered." So quite a lot of controversy happening there. But you can check out that story and get more of it on page 9. And I see 17 lawyers go after Salasia amid claims he was taken ill. Mumia's magistrate pushes plea taking to today after defense says MP is in hospital. Kakamega Bay's lawyers want cash bail forfeited and warrant of arrest issued. And I also see on the development, First Lady is asking church to support state projects. That's something else quite interesting. An article you can find on page 10 on the very low part of it. And looking at the back page, of course, I see Song admits his indomitable lions were playing off key. Yeah, you relate. You're the indomitable lion in the room. Cameroon come from behind to draw against 10-man Guinea. Algeria coach Belmadi says they have learned lessons after the draw against Angola. And I also see Messi wins FIFA Best Award. Pep is best coach. Of course, Lionel Messi. I watched a game of his some time back, I think in the World Cup. Yeah. And I wouldn't say anymore. Just know kuna mwenye alikuwa zaidi yao. And I also see here that DR Congo Leopards keen to dodge copper bullets. Okay, who is copper bullets though? Copper bullets.
Copper bullets.
Yeah.
Is it Malawi?
They have very interesting names. Atlas Lions.
What about Kenya? You know the national team.
Harambee Stars.
Oh yeah. Why you have confidence? Yeah, it's Harambee Stars, but we keep saying we need to change that name. Yeah, because you had the Indomitable Lions.
Yeah, we need that Lions, name.
The Atlas Lions.
You know.
Yeah, but then Harambee Stars. Yeah, but
well, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But Atlas Lions are under pressure to maul Tanzania. Beautiful, beautiful. I see some Morocco fans here cheering their team. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. That's it for the Standard.
All right. I see Business Daily. Railways tops list of state farms bleeding taxpayers millions. 22 agencies post losses of at least $1 billion bob. Bailout addiction fuels privatization calls. That is covered on the Business Daily. Universities employee arrears rise to 45 billion shillings. That is in the Business Daily. I also see kwa Taifa Leo.
Yes.
Leo tuko nayo. Wanasema usimkaribie Ruto. Vuta ni kuvute. Kinara wa Azimio asema mazungumzo yoyote wakati huu ambapo kesi muhimu dhidi ya serikali zinaendelea kotini yanaweza kuathiri maumizi. Kwa hivyo anamuonya usimkaribie Ruto hata kidogo. Do. Anyway, grab your favorite copy of the pages and get to see what's being reported. Get to know what's happening in the +254, even as we continue to pray for the nation. Yeah, but that's why you don't do Taifa Leo. Yeah. This Gigi will be saying no at the end of every news. But anyway, let us. Time is so much spent. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, umeshtuka, hata mimi nimeshtuka. Vivyo hivyo ulivyoshtuka wewe. Niko mtinda. What is it? I thought it was to give us a heads up. I know, right? We are just flowing. With white man there. Tuambieko hizi vitu. But maybe we can just have the video of the day play. When we come back, we can talk about it maybe even as we usher in the guests. So let's take a very short break. But once we get back, remember, we are having the conversation of the day today, which is on the Christian walk. That's what we call the segment. And today we are going to be talking about setting up new goals for the new year. If you have set any goals, if you need to pray over those goals, if you need to adjust those goals, the conversation will be for you. So speak to us. Let us know where you're tuned in from. And if you're following on YouTube, thank you so much for being part of this amazing show. Comment pale chini if you have any questions you'd love to ask Reverend Gordon Odira, who will be joining us shortly. And the number is 0708 222 323. We take a short break. We'll be back soon.